The plains stretched endlessly, a tapestry of sun-bleached grass and churned earth. Dust hung in the air like memory, caught in the wind, swirling around fence posts and the skeletal remains of long-forgotten cattle. The sun was low, casting long shadows across the prairie, and the chill of approaching night made every rider pull their coat tighter. A solitary wagon creaked along the rough trail, its wheels biting into the frozen dirt. Inside, a woman wrapped in layers of wool and leather gripped the reins, her knuckles white, her breath fogging in the cold. She had been traveling alone for miles, the isolation pressing on her like the weight of the snow clouds gathering above. The wagon lurched as it hit a hidden rut, sending a cascade of snow across the wheels. From a ridge a few miles away, a lone cowboy spotted her struggle. He shaded his eyes against the dying sun and saw the inevitable, one sharp jolt, and the wagon toppled sideways, sliding off the road into a drift of snow. Without a thought, he kicked his horse forward, the animal's hooves hammering against the frozen ground, sending clouds of dust into the fading light. The cowboy, a tall man with weathered features and eyes like flint, had seen his share of accidents, ambushes, and betrayals across the frontier, yet something about this moment set his heart racing. The woman's wagon lay crumpled in the snow, her figure barely visible as she struggled to right herself amidst the wreckage. He reached her just as she slid again, his gloved hands gripping hers, pulling her up with a strength born from years of survival. "You all right?" His voice was rough, carrying the authority of someone accustomed to danger, yet laced with concern. I think so," she stammered, her breath coming in ragged bursts. Her eyes, wide and frightened, met his, and for a brief moment, the wind seemed to pause around them. The man scanned the horizon. Tracks, multiple, irregular, cut through the snow, leading toward the wagon. Antagonists were close, bandits known to prey on travelers and ranchers alike, men who would not hesitate to take what wasn't theirs. The cowboy didn't speak of it. Instead, he took the reins, ready to move the wagon back onto the road. As the woman clambered in, he couldn't help but notice the subtle tension in her posture, the way she kept glancing over her shoulder. She was alone, vulnerable, yet not entirely afraid, a spark of defiance glinting in her gaze. Something about that spark drew him in, made him promise silently to see her safe. They worked quickly, the snow biting at their hands, the sky turning to bruised purples and grays. Just as the wagon steadied, a shout rang from behind the ridge. Men were closing in, horses thundering across the plains, dust and snow mixing in a haze of danger. The cowboy swung onto his horse, motioning her to hold tight. "Stay low. Don't move until I say." She obeyed, clutching the wagon's side as he galloped toward the approaching threat. The horse's hooves pounded like war drums, every second stretching, every breath a gamble. They reached a rise, using the terrain to their advantage, and the cowboy drew his pistol, aiming with practiced precision. Bullets cracked the cold air, echoes bouncing off distant ridges. The bandits faltered, surprised by the audacity of a single man defending a lone wagon. The cowboy didn't wait for them to recover. He dove into a strategy born from years of riding the plains, forcing the attackers into positions where they could do no real harm, without exposing themselves. Minutes felt like hours. The wind howled, carrying with it the distant yells, the thudding of horses, the metallic tang of fear. Finally, the last of the men retreated, disappearing into the shadows. The cowboy's horse panted, nostrils flaring, and he leaned back, surveying the scene. The woman's wagon was intact enough to continue, but the danger was far from over. She looked at him, voice trembling but firm. "Thank you. I don't even know your name." He tipped his hat. "Name's Cole, just Cole. Let's get you somewhere. Safe before night swallows us both." As they rode toward the distant lights of a ranch, the tension between them was palpable, unspoken yet undeniable. The plains stretched endlessly ahead, promising both danger and possibility. Night had fallen over the plains, and the cold cut through layers of wool and leather like a sharpened blade. Stars hung dimly in the sky, obscured by drifting clouds that promised snow. Cole rode ahead, the reins taut in his gloved hands. guiding the wagon along a narrow trail toward the nearest ranch. Behind him, the woman, her name still unknown, clung to the side, eyes wide, jaw tight with tension. The ranch appeared as a cluster of dim lights in the distance, smoke curling from the chimneys like lazy ghosts, horses stamped in the corrals, kicking up small clouds of dust, and the distant bark of a dog carried over the frozen plains. Cole slowed, scanning every shadow. The plains might look calm under starlight, but he knew better. Danger could come from any direction, and the night was long. As they neared the ranch, he finally asked, "What brings a woman alone out here in the snow?" Travelers don't usually fare well without a guide. She hesitated, then spoke quietly, almost to herself. I'm looking for my father's property. I haven't seen him in months, and the letters stopped coming. I had to find out if he's all right." Her voice cracked with worry, the kind of worry only the frontier could breed. Cole nodded, understanding. Loss, fear, uncertainty. They were constant companions on these plains. He kept his eyes forward, though, wary of the faint crunch of snow that could betray the presence of their pursuers. At the ranch, a tall, stern man with a wide-brimmed hat met them at the gate. "Cole," he said, his voice carrying authority, "and who's your friend?" "This is Miss—" "I don't rightly know her last name," Cole replied. "She had an accident on the trail. Wagon ran off the road. Thought I'd get her to safety." The rancher's eyes narrowed, scanning her with suspicion. "Accident, you say? Plains are unforgiving this time of year. You'll be welcome here, but stay inside. Don't wander the property." As the woman helped herself down from the wagon, Cole noticed a tension between the ranch hands. Whispers, furtive glances, the kind of behavior that set a man's instincts on edge. He made a mental note. Nothing in this world came without hidden dangers. Inside, the fire crackled, warming the room and providing the illusion of safety. She warmed her hands over the flames, and Cole poured a cup of strong black coffee for her. Their eyes met, and for a fleeting moment, something unspoken passed between them, a connection forged in snow, danger and survival. But the moment didn't last. Outside, faint hoofbeats and the sharp crack of a rifle shot shattered the fragile calm. Cole's hand went to his pistol, eyes scanning the darkness beyond the windows. "They found us," he muttered. The rancher cursed under his breath. "Bandits! Been following travelers and ranchers this season. If they're here, they'll want more than your wagon." Cole's jaw tightened. He had faced these men before, cutthroats who lived for chaos, men whose loyalty was only to themselves and the highest bidder. The moral dilemma gnawed at him: protect the woman and the ranch, or risk everything to confront the attackers head-on. Outside, the bandits dismounted silently, moving like shadows over snow. Cole grabbed a lantern, signaling the ranch hands to ready themselves. Every second stretched unbearably. He could feel the woman's fear behind him, yet she didn't scream. She trusted him. That trust was both a responsibility and a burden. Shots rang out in rapid succession. Horses neighed in panic, dust and snow kicked up in spiraling clouds. Cole ducked, returned fire, and guided the ranch hands in a defensive formation. The bandits pressed forward, confident in numbers, underestimating the determination of a man with nothing to lose. Through the chaos, the woman found a hidden resolve. She rushed to the side of a wounded ranch hand, helping him steady the rifle. Her hands were shaking, but her eyes were steely. Cole caught the look and felt a rush of admiration. In this cruel, dusty world, courage was rare, and she had it. The firefight raged on, tension mounting as the bandits attempted to flank the ranch. Every bullet, every shout, every movement carried stakes that were impossibly high. Cole realized this wasn't just about survival. It was about justice, protection, and the fragile bonds that could form even in the harshest of lands. Finally, the attackers retreated, disappearing into the night, leaving destruction but no bodies. Cole surveyed the damage, the ranch's fence broken, snow trampled, and the scorched smell of gunpowder lingering in the air. The woman's hands trembled as she clutched her coat, the adrenaline giving way to shock. Cole approached her. "You did good. More than most would have managed." She nodded, trying to steady her voice. I just want to keep going. I need to find my father." He looked at the distant horizon, snow blending with darkness. The night was far from over, And the plains held more than just bandits. There were secrets in the shadows, old debts waiting to be collected, and choices that could cost more than a life. And then, from the distant ridge, a silhouette appeared, watching, waiting, calculating. Cole's instincts screamed. This was bigger than a few bandits. Someone or something was orchestrating it all.